Coming up on Super Boothers, the holidays are coming. Ryan and I discuss what you should be doing to prepare for the holiday season and book holiday events if you haven't already. Stay tuned. Are you struggling to fill your calendar with events? Stop letting your photo booths collect dust on the weekends. Google Ads is one of the most effective ways to acquire customers, and it's how I get the majority of my business. We created a program especially for photo boothers that show you how you can use Google Ads to fill up your calendar. Check it out at courses.superboothers.com.
Hello and welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
I am Ismail.
Oh God!
You gotta mix it up, man. Keep people on their toes.
So I don't listen to that many podcasts, which is probably really bad for me. But there is this one this one podcast that I would love to tell you the name. However, it's really vulgar, so I really can't. But she introduces her podcast in a very not nice way.
Well, we don't go that far. Come on, what are we, animals over
I
here?
wish I could, though, because there are some people that need to be yelled at.
Think of the children, Ryan.
The children. No, so this is the thing is I get asked a lot of questions on a daily basis, and I'm happy to help. However, what I really don't understand and I can't comprehend is people come to me, ask me for help, and then they're like, well, why would you do that? I'm okay, well, don't ask me then. You came to me. You're the one listening to the show. I didn't go knock on your door, put headphones in your ears, and turn up the volume on Super Boothers.
You'd be surprised how often that happens in general in life. Like, people ask for advice, they come to you, and then they basically just want to have you tell them what they want to hear. And when you don't, they don't want to listen to you.
You know, I am happy to do that for money. So if you would like to make an appointment at ryansalinas.com/schedule appointment, you are more than welcome to.
Have you seen that movie, The Terminal?
Yeah, with Tom Hanks.
Yes. You remind me of that Indian guy, the cleaning guy. He's always just like, do you have an appointment? You're always pitching these appointments, man.
I'm not pitching. It's just a reality. I mean,
do you have an appointment, please?
Do you have an appointment?
Great movie.
It's an awesome movie. I actually think it's on Netflix. I just love my little button. I can't stop. I actually don't think it is on Netflix, but I just love my little button.
It's a great movie. Check it out.
Speaking of,
based on a true story.
I got another little button. So I talk about a lot on the show my Philips Hue lights, and they're available in the show notes, so you can see which ones I purchased. However, I was talking with Ismail about how whenever I record out of the house, whenever we don't record in the studio, and actually we have a studio session coming up, so I'm a little excited for that one.
Those are fun days for sure.
Studio sessions are the absolute best because, like, Ismail and I, we do this virtually, so we don't get to see each other or bounce off one another. I mean, we bounce off one another a little bit, but we don't get to see body language. I don't get to like point to him. Like, it's just a different dynamic whenever we're in the studio.
So you're saying you want to see my body language and point?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can be like, hello, say something, go, come on, hurry. We have things to do. No. So anyways, one thing that I do talk about on the show is my Philips Hue lights. I have my Philips Hue lights connected to legitimately everything. For example, whenever I get I'm all about visual cues. And I think that more people are visual people than most. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I would.
It's also why reading is actually visual. You see the words. And for some people, they like to write things down or read them to have it more ingrained in their mind.
I'm a little. I do everything on a computer digitally except for my calendar. My calendar is handwritten. There is just something very cathartic about writing something down in a calendar on a specific date. Like, that's just me.
I've tried. I don't like doing the calendar manually.
Could never do it electronically. The alerts, I have to be where I have 15 minutes to get there. Now it tells me driving directions. No, that is far too much. I'm going to get in a wreck looking at like some sort of random alert coming through.
By the way, people are really upset about you doing live videos while
First of
driving.
all,
Like,
I'm
that
not
is
holding the stupid phone in my hand. It is attached to my car. It is no different than if you are sitting in the car next to me. Calm it down. It was just the other day. I was on the phone and this person starts like honking at me and they're like, "Get out of my." I'm like, "I'm on the phone here. Hello, how rude."
that's
What the So anyways,
that's not going to win you any more fans, Ryan.
my mother, whenever I just got my license, she asked me, she's like, "Ryan, do you drink and drive?" And I'm like, "No, I drink at stop signs and red lights." I mean,
I hope the
hello,
kids are
children.
already at school.
Stay in school. No, so what was I talking about? I completely forgot. Where was I?
Philip Hue lights. Philip Hue lights.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Continue. So my Philips Hue lights, I talk about how, for example, whenever I get a lead, so they're connected to one of my forms. Whenever a lead comes in, it sends a trigger to the Philips Hue lights and they blink. I'm a very visual person, so I like that if I'm working, yeah, if you're working, you can kind of see like a little notification pop up or you kind of see something on your phone. But for me, when I'm in my office, I like to have the lights blink. That way I have that visual cue. Hey, I need to get on this right now. Another thing is, and I have a blog on this that I'll post as well in the show notes. Whenever I get a payment, the light turns green. I've actually changed it so now it turns purple, but just because I got sick of seeing green so much. First world problem. But yes, so I'm really excited that I got this new little toy. So what it is, it's called I think it's called a Philips Tap. It's like a 3 little button thing that doesn't require any batteries. It's wireless. It connects to your Hue bridge. So, for example, what I have now is whenever I was going to get one of those lights outside, we talked about my Uncle Jesse light
Yes.
that will turn red when I record. Now, what I do is I pushed one button, and every single light, one light in every room will turn red to like let everyone know in the house that I'm recording.
Yeah, I need one of those.
Do you think you respond well to visual cues like that?
I don't think it makes that big of a difference to me personally.
See, I just think it's really motivating. Like just to like be working on something and to see the light turn green. Like that's just really motivating to me.
I guess I'm more old school where it doesn't really I don't really care.
You
Lights,
have to wait for the check in the mail?
the light's white, yellow, green. Just put the light on and let me get to work. I'm working over here.
Whatever, you're just not so technical.
That's
So
actually
anyways,
patently false.
So today we're talking about holiday parties.
Yes, the holidays are around the corner. And I know, Ryan, you've said for weeks now, like maybe it's actually months that you've said
Since June, yeah.
that you should be booking your holiday parties now.
Yeah. Well, you should have been booking it
Back
this
then,
summer.
yes. So
yes.
Is it too late now?
No, it is not too late now. Now is the time to where you really can focus on, really filling out the holiday calendar because now is and what is today, October 3rd? It is such an important time right now to finish out your November and December calendars.
Now,
And I'm talking weekday stuff, not necessarily just weekend.
now, do you have? I'm curious for your experience. Do you really have to hunt for, not hunt, but do you have to book a lot of events, new events for the holidays? Because what I found,
No.
yeah, it's not really a stressful time of year because it's all the same people booking events again.
If you didn't screw up the year prior.
Yeah, but like I have,
That's
I have a family that has a big Halloween party, and for example, they book us every year for many years now, and all the corporate holiday parties for the holiday season, it's the same people that have been using us for many years in a row, and they just come in like clockwork. Like in the summer, I don't have to even reach out to them. Hey, we locked in our date. Can we book? And they just pay in full. Like in the summer. It's amazing. I love it.
in June.
Yeah.
I love it. So this is something that I need everyone to do right now is reach out to go to everything that you did last year, every single party, November, December. If you want to print it out, print everything out, go through what happened last year. Did we do a good job? Is the contact still there? And start reaching out to those people. This year, I want you to keep a running tab of all these events that you're doing on a sheet of paper. Or do it on an email or whatever. But my point is, you should have your ongoing list on a sheet of paper, save it for next June. Whenever June hits, start reaching out to that list that you're creating this year. And what you're doing is you're just kind of like solidifying it rather than having to like, oh, I don't remember which ones we did. Did we do this person? What did we do for the output? Write all those notes down on a sheet of paper. Save that sheet of paper for next June. That way, when June rolls around, you have your call sheet ready to go for the holidays.
Yeah, that to me says that people should be taking this time of year seriously. And I shouldn't have to say that because, at least for me, this is the money making season. Like, it's 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 not even any comparison to the rest of the year. For me personally, the holiday season is crazy. So you should be taking it seriously and doing something like what Ryan said in order to get ahead of it as much as you can.
What sort of like outputs will you do for the holidays? Will you like repeat the same one, or will you kind of change it up? Or
This is something that we've touched on a few times. I would love to, do something new. But what I found with my corporate clients, that they just want the same thing. They want the same. Give me the strips. Give me the 4x6. Same thing as last year. So for the older corporate clients, it's very hard for me to transition them over. And I've actually roped Ryan into some of these conversations. I show him the emails, and he kind of coaches me on what to say. And they still don't change. So I've kind of given up on that. But for the new clients, I do try to do some new fun things. That's one thing I was going to actually ask you, Ryan, because you've probably booked a lot of your holiday parties already. Do you see any trends this year? Anything new, or is it kind of
for holiday parties,
same things with different spends?
Yeah, for holiday party, every single holiday party that I'm doing this year is doing something completely different than they did last year. There's one event that, gosh, I love this event, and I'll post it whenever it actually happens. I think it's at the end of this month. However, it's large charity dinner. Last year they did, the theme was rebirth, and there was a 15-foot phoenix entirely made out of flowers. It was just the most gorgeous thing. And so what I mean by like phoenix is like the bird with the fire and all that. If you see Harry Potter, However, just they did a lot of fireworks. We did the drone. I did the drone through the fireworks. Last year we were a hit. And I said to the client last year, I said, next year we need to do two. She said, okay. So what I did was I set myself up last year for this year. So this year, everything was legitimately doubled. They gave me a primo spot. I was in their very first meeting. They said, what do you want to do? And I got to have first dibs of literally everything. Like where I was at, the type of output that we did, all of it. So again, that one is coming on later on this month.
And in an example like that, are you speaking to the client directly, or are you working with an agency?
So this one I actually got through the caterer. And I did it last year was the first year, although this event's been going on for 40 years or so. This year they've brought on a DMC to kind of handle like all of the details. So that's the kind of new dynamic for this year, which is a nightmare because too many cooks, not enough chefs. Every email has 7 people on it. And it's difficult because, and actually I've sent 3 emails to 3 different people saying, hey, listen, who's going to pay this bill? Like, please let me know who this needs to be directed to. And that's the only difficult part. There's someone that asked me, oh, Ryan, when are we going to get the questionnaire? I was like, when you give me money. And they're like, oh, we'll work on that for you. So that's the kind of stuff that's a little bit difficult whenever there's that many people involved in planning. Granted, that's not usually normal. And then another party that I'm doing, we're doing some fun stuff. I won't say what we're doing just yet, but they are spending money. I was actually in that meeting. They were having a live sushi station that they cut for me to have more money in the photo budget, which was nice.
Something interesting thing that I'd want to get your input on. We've had some parties, and I wonder if other people have the same experience where it's crazy. There's like circus performers coming down from the ceiling. There's all these huge things. More like it's crazy what they're doing for these holiday parties. But they still see the photo booth as just a photo booth. And even when you try to position it as something different or make it something better, they don't want to engage in that conversation. Have you ever been in a position like that?
No, I'm a little bit more forceful when it comes to that.
Yeah. I've just had the experience with some of these clients that they just don't. They just want what it was last year. So again, I guess
But how do you pitch it? Do you even say like, "Hey, listen, we got this new thing this year, blah 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 blah"?
yes, and you helped me do this a few
I
times.
don't think you're as dynamic as I am.
Maybe I think you know what I think, that you have a way of building these relationships with these people that not everyone can imitate.
Yes.
Yes, I can't do that. See, I would lose the gig right there.
You really would. Where that's a really funny thing, because I've always had some clients that have said like the only reason they do stuff is just because of like my attitude or what have you. I just think it's so flippin' funny.
So what you're telling people now is to reach out to people who booked you last year. Now, I would maybe throw in a different idea too to take this a step further. I don't know if you would agree with this, Ryan, but not only do you go to people who booked you last year, but also to people who inquired for a holiday party last year that didn't book you for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would keep track of that. I mean, I do keep track of it. I'm not sure I would that's difficult for me to do.
Why is that?
I don't think my CRM lets me.
Oh no, Ryan. That is something that is something that you should do, because there's no real downside or cost to doing so. So it's like a very low risk, high reward type of thing.
Yeah.
So not now, in my experience, it doesn't really result in that many bookings, right? Because odds are, if they didn't book you last year, they booked somebody else, or they just decided not to do it. But it's no real risk to doing so. There's no real cost to doing it. And even if it results in one or two events, it's a huge ROI on your effort. So it doesn't really hurt to do it if there's an easy way for you to go about doing it.
Sure. One thing that I would suggest doing is put a little like header or a pop-up or something on your website that says, "Hey, listen, are you planning your holiday party?" I think that is kind of engaging the visitor to your website, to where if that does pertain to them, they're going to be so curious as to click it. And I would come up with a package that includes, let's just say we're doing green screen. Let's just say green screen is your thing. Come up with 3 different, vignettes or what have you of, a snowball or a snow globe, or, snow falling, or Santa in a fireplace, or I don't know, whatever you want to come up with, and have them choose from one of those options. Say, listen, this is included. Your logo gets put on all this stuff. It's already done for you. Corporate people love packaging stuff. They just like it all done for them. So if you can like curate 4 different looks, you're sure to be able to have a client that will be able to respond to one of them.
What about people that are starting out, newer boothers, that are getting worried that they don't have a lot of booked events and they don't have a lot from last year to rely on? Is there any advice you'd give to them on how to book holiday events?
I would love for you to use Google Ads. It is available at superboosters.com.
No, but seriously, if you ask me, that's how I've gotten. So all of my corporate holiday events, or corporate events in general, I've gotten either through Google Ads, or I just happened to do an event for somebody who was an event planner. Like I did a wedding for someone. She loved us so much, and she was a huge event planner in the city that we do very large events for. But that was kind of luck. Just by doing a lot of events, you get to have those opportunities. But yeah, for me, it's through Google Ads.
Yeah, I would absolutely consider that. I think that's kind of like the best way to literally push a money button and just have kind of money pop out.
Yeah, but otherwise, you're out of luck. Sorry.
Well, no, that's the thing is, I think that, you know what, I remember when I got started, you have to go knock on doors. And granted, the earlier you do that, the better. So right now, you might not. Oh, here's actually another good one. So depending on the venue, there are some venues out there that you can create a package. So that package that you just created for corporate people, put something together for a venue. Say, hey, listen, if you want to include this with your, Christmas package, just include a photo booth. You can do this with venues. You can do it with hotels. You can do it with whomever.
Yeah, and if I'm thinking back to the very beginning, a lot of people who are listening were in the corporate world or know people in the corporate world, friends that have jobs. I actually got a few jobs from people who were working at a company and they had a holiday party going on. Like, hey, my friend does a photo booth, and they pitch it internally, and that's how I got some gigs. So that could be one thing to try if you're really new and starting out. Is look at your immediate network.
For sure. Last year I did. I do two rather large Christmas parties every year. And by large, I mean I'm doing everything. So I'm still doing flowers, I'm still doing linens, I'm still doing photo booth, I'm still doing entertainment. Like it's a large undertaking. And actually, I don't even think I spoke to you at all last December.
It was an amazing month.
It was a fabulous month. I made so much money and didn't have to talk to you. No, so
That's what you call a win-win, ladies and gentlemen. A
win-win-win. Back to the larger point here. I would always remember to this year for the events that you have, set yourself up for next year. Say, if there's an idea that you come up with, you don't even have to follow through with it because things are going to change so much between now and then. So what I would suggest doing is set yourself up for next year and say like, oh, for next year, we can do this, or just include something, or give whatever idea that you have, just put a little bug in their ear. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and if there's people that are starting out and worried, hey, I feel behind, I feel like I'm not getting a lot of these holiday parties, what I would say is that it takes time, right? So don't panic. If you're not willing to spend money on paid advertising like with Google, then it really just takes time. And that's what I found. People always ask us at these events, how do you get corporate clients? How do you get corporate clients? And the honest truth for me, at least, is that they come from the other events that I do. So the more years that you do this, you build this catalog of clients that have friends that work at companies, and then it just leads, it's like a snowball effect. It kind of gets bigger and bigger each year. And I think Ryan and I have gotten to a point where we don't really have to worry about filling up the calendar, the holiday season. It's kind of already.
I would like to fill up the weekday calendar a little bit more.
My holiday parties are mostly weekdays, because people.
Seriously?
Yes, because the companies do it right after work. So it's like a Wednesday or Thursday. Everyone goes from work to the venue and they have their holiday party. So like a huge chunk of mine most of them are weekdays for sure.
So that's another thing. Don't forget that also holiday parties happen in January. It doesn't stop in December. It kind of spills over into January a little bit. And that's also something really, really, really important to not forget about. Don't forget about those people.
That's a great point. A lot of people say that January is their slowest month in the photo booth industry. I actually do also have a lot of holiday parties that, for whatever reason, they do it in January. So I still have a busy January. At least the first half, at about the halfway point, it starts to slow down.
Awesome. So what I would like everyone to do is, if you come up with some sort of, package or incentive or, whatever the case may be, go ahead and post it in our Super Boothers group at Superboothers. No, sorry, that's a lie. Facebook.com/groups/Superboothers. Next week on Super Boothers. I'll lose in future ones. But this is another thing. I've also lost a couple of other ones, just being one of them. And it's getting to the point where I'm like, listen, you tell me what you want to pay me and I will book it, just because times is hard.